If your ankles swell so much that even bending your foot becomes a struggle, then you're dealing with something far more serious than simple tiredness. I want you to pause for a moment and really tune into what I'm about to say. Because if this describes your daily reality, your body is sending you a message you cannot afford to ignore. And to be clear, I'm not referring to that mild puffiness people get after sitting on an airplane or standing at work for too many hours. I'm talking about the kind of swelling that makes your legs feel like heavy stones. That kind where your skin feels stretched to its limit, tight as if it's holding back pressure from inside. And when you remove your socks at the end of the day, you see those deep, persistent indentations, the kind doctors call pitting edema. If this sounds familiar, then listen closely, because this isn't just an uncomfortable inconvenience. It is one of the clearest and most urgent warning signs that your vascular system is struggling. When fluid pools stubbornly in your lower legs, when your feet feel heavy and full, when the swelling gets worse at the end of the day, all of these are signs that gravity is winning the fight, and your blood flow is slowing down dramatically. In medical terms, this sluggish, almost stagnant circulation is known as venous stasis. And here's the part that should truly get your attention. Venous stasis provides the perfect conditions for dangerous, potentially life-threatening blood clots, specifically deep vein thrombosis, or DVT. This is not a cosmetic problem. This is not just swelling. This is a red flag that your circulatory system is calling for help. And chances are, you've already tried all the common advice. You've elevated your legs. You've soaked your feet in warm water. You've cut back on salt. Maybe you've bought compression socks or tried herbal teas or followed every generic recommendation you could find online. And yet, the swelling keeps returning. Maybe it even gets worse. Why? Because none of those methods address the true root cause. They only treat the symptom you can see, the fluid itself. But the internal system that is supposed to manage that fluid, regulate it, move it, and prevent it from pooling, that system is struggling. And this becomes especially obvious at night, when gravity is no longer helping you. Tonight, everything changes. Because right now, you're about to learn the definitive 7-step nighttime vascular fix, a protocol specifically designed not to manage fluid, but to reverse the process. This is the only routine that systematically detoxifies, strengthens, activates, and manually drains the congested fluid from your legs before you lie down to sleep. When you follow these 7 steps in sequence, your body shifts into vascular correction mode, not passive waiting, but active repair. By the time your head hits the pillow, your legs will already feel lighter, your feet will feel freer. And when you wake up in the morning, instead of that heavy, stiff feeling, instead of struggling to put on your shoes, you should feel flexibility, ease, and comfort you may not have felt in years. This entire protocol targets the true underlying issue: chronic venous insufficiency, the condition where the tiny valves inside your veins fail to push blood upward against gravity. When those valves weaken, blood pools downward, pressure builds, fluid leaks into surrounding tissues, and the swelling becomes chronic. Before we go any deeper, one quick but important note. Nothing in this video replaces medical guidance. If you have kidney disease, heart failure, or any chronic medical condition, consult your doctor before changing electrolyte intake or supplements. This content is educational and designed to help you understand your symptoms better. Now, let's begin the protocol. And we start from the inside. Step 1. The internal groundwork, the cellular pre-sleep flush. Most people are told that swelling comes from eating too much sodium, but that's only a small part of the picture. The real cause is usually a catastrophic imbalance in the 3 primary electrolytes: sodium, potassium, magnesium. Your kidneys, the organs responsible for managing the vast majority of your body's fluid, rely on a very delicate ratio between these minerals. When you are low in potassium or magnesium, your cells desperately cling to sodium, and when cells hold sodium, they hold water. This leads to that heavy, tight swelling you see in your legs. So the first step in the nighttime vascular fix is something I call the cellular pre-sleep flush, a strategic combination of electrolytes that signals your cells to release trapped sodium and trapped water. Here's exactly how to do it. 60 minutes before your bedtime, you will drink a blended magnesium-potassium solution. This timing is critical. Too early and you lose the flush effect. Too late and you interrupt your sleep. Start with magnesium citrate, which functions as a smooth muscle relaxer. Your blood vessel walls are made of smooth muscle, and magnesium helps them relax and dilate so that trapped fluid can begin to move. Mix 1 full teaspoon, about 300 to 400 milligrams of elemental magnesium, into 12 ounces of water. Next comes the secret ingredient, potassium bitartrate, commonly known as cream of tartar. Potassium's job inside the body is to regulate fluid inside your cells, working directly opposite of sodium. When you boost potassium intake, you send your cells a clear biochemical message. Release the sodium, release the water. Add a generous pinch, about 1/4 teaspoon, into your magnesium drink. Sip this mixture slowly. Within 60 minutes, your kidneys begin resetting fluid distribution. Gravity is still helping because you're upright, and your vascular system begins preparing for drainage. If you have kidney issues, stop and consult your doctor. For everyone else, this is your first foundational step. Now that we've primed your internal system, we move on to something far more physical, something that wakes up the lazy veins in your legs. Step 2. The thermal shock, contrast bath activation. When blood pools in your lower legs, your veins expand, stretch, and lose tone. They become lazy. Instead of pushing blood back upward, they let it settle downward. To reverse this, we need a powerful vascular pump, something that forces your veins to contract and release rapidly, restoring their tone. This is where the contrast bath comes in, also known as the thermal shock method. It triggers a natural physiological mechanism called the hunting response, where your blood vessels rapidly open and close in response to heat and cold. You'll need 2 basins, one filled with very warm water, one filled with ice-cold water. Add at least 5 to 6 trays of ice. Here's the exact sequence. Hot water. 3 minutes. Your veins expand. Blood rises to the surface. Congested areas open. Cold water. 1 minute, your veins clamp down instantly. This forces trapped blood and fluid upward. Repeat this cycle 3 times. 3 minutes hot, 1 minute cold. 3 minutes hot, 1 minute cold. Finish with 1 final minute in cold water. That last cold minute is the most important. When you remove your feet, your skin warms rapidly. This creates a reflex flush that pulls fresh oxygenated blood downward and pushes stagnant blood upward. This single step, when done correctly, can manually decongest the lower legs faster than almost anything else you can do at home. Now that your veins have been shocked into activation, you are ready for deeper drainage, the gravitational pump. Now that your internal electrolyte balance is primed and your veins have been shocked awake through the contrast bath, we move into a step that most people do wrong, a step that determines whether all that fluid you just mobilized will actually leave your lower legs, or whether it will simply settle again the moment you sit or lie down. This is step 3, and it is the mechanical drainage phase. You may have seen people demonstrating legs up the wall on social media, a gentle yoga pose where you lie flat and rest your legs vertically against a wall. But here's the truth. If you're dealing with chronic swelling, doing this passively does almost nothing. At best, it provides mild relief. At worst, it wastes time. Passive elevation helps, but it doesn't force the fluid out. And fluid that isn't forced stays. To truly drain trapped fluid from your calves and ankles, you need to activate what doctors call your second heart, your calf muscles. Every time your calves contract, they squeeze the veins running through them and push blood upward against gravity. This is called the muscle pump, and in people with swelling, it becomes weak, underused, or sluggish. So tonight, we aren't just raising your legs. We're raising them with purpose, and we're adding active muscular engagement every 60 seconds. Here's exactly how to do step 3. Lie on your back near a wall and scoot your hips as close to the wall as you comfortably can. Then lift your legs straight up so your heels rest on the wall, forming a clean L shape or something close to it. The goal is simple. Your legs must be above your heart. This alone shifts gravity in your favor, but gravity can only do so much. Here's the crucial refinement, the part virtually no one ever teaches. Every 60 seconds, perform an active ankle flex. Point your toes toward the ceiling for a count of 5. Then flex your feet back toward your head for another count of 5. This one movement, point and flex, is the key. Because when you flex, your calf muscles contract hard, squeezing the venous reservoirs inside them. And when you point, you stretch the muscles, creating a pump and release rhythm that forces fluid upward into larger veins. Repeat this 10 times per minute for a total of 5 minutes. It might sound simple, but don't underestimate it. This is one of the most powerful drainage techniques you can do at home. 5 minutes of this is equivalent to receiving a professional lymphatic drainage massage for your lower legs. It's active, it's targeted, and it works fast. Make this 5 minutes non-negotiable every single night, because at this point, your legs will already feel lighter. And for the first time, your vascular system is actively cooperating. But we're not done yet. Draining fluid is one thing. Keeping your vessels strong is another. And that brings us to step 4, where we repair the plumbing itself. Step 4, the botanical venotonic rub, strengthening the capillaries. Why does fluid begin to leak into your tissues in the first place? Why do your ankles balloon by the evening? Why does the swelling keep coming back? The answer lies in your capillaries, the tiniest blood vessels in your body. Over time, because of inflammation, free radical damage, sluggish circulation, and chronic venous pressure, these tiny vessels become weak, porous, and leaky. Picture an old garden hose with microscopic holes. Water doesn't stay inside, it seeps out. Your capillaries behave the same way. Weak walls. Fluid leaks into tissues, swelling increases. So after drainage, we must strengthen those walls. This is where the botanical venotonic rub comes in. You're going to create a simple mixture of essential oils with powerful venotonic and circulatory effects. These are not random oils. They are chosen for their specific physiological actions. You'll need 2 essential oils. Cypress essential oil, 5 drops rosemary essential oil, 5 drops, and 1 carrier oil, such as fractionated coconut oil or almond oil. 1 tablespoon. Why cypress oil? Because cypress is one of the most respected venotonics in natural medicine. It helps tighten and strengthen the capillary walls. It reduces excessive permeability, the leakiness that causes fluid to escape. Why rosemary oil? Because rosemary is a circulatory stimulant. It increases local blood flow and prevents the fluid you just drained from sinking back down and sitting there again. So here's the process. Sit comfortably and extend your legs. Pour a small amount of the oil mixture into your palm. Start at your toes, and slowly, in firm upward strokes, massage toward your heart. This is crucial. You always move toward the heart, not downward, because your goal is venous return. Work from the toes, to the ankles, up the calves, and then stop just below the knee pit. This direction matters. This pressure matters, and the combination of oils matters. As you do this, you're not just applying oil. You're stimulating local nerves, activating microcirculation, and delivering anti-inflammatory compounds deep into the tissues. You are strengthening the very vessels that have been failing you. This step creates structural support, the kind your veins desperately need. But even after strengthening, we still have a problem. You see, during the night you're horizontal. Gravity is neutral. Your fluid dynamics change dramatically. If you accidentally use the wrong compression, or too much compression, or no compression at all, everything you've done up to this point can be undone in a few hours. That brings us to step 5, protecting your progress while you sleep. Step 5, the compression correction. Gentle support, not restriction. Compression socks can be miraculous when used correctly, but most people unknowingly use them wrong. If you've ever worn 20-30 mm compression socks, the strong medical grade ones, you've probably been told to wear them during the day. That's correct, because when you're standing or walking, your veins must push blood upward against gravity. Strong compression helps. But what about at night? When you lie down horizontally, when your blood pressure levels change, when gravity is no longer pulling fluid downward in the same way. Here's the critical truth most people don't know. You should never sleep in high-grade compression socks. Why? Because when your body is horizontal, your blood pressure equalizes. Strong compression becomes too strong. Instead of supporting circulation, it begins to restrict it. It can act like a soft tourniquet, trapping fluid and slowing flow. So at night, you need light therapeutic compression, gentle enough to be safe, strong enough to maintain all the progress from steps 1 to 4. Look for socks rated 8 to 15 mmHg. These are often called travel socks or flight socks. They provide a mild, even pressure that prevents your tissues from re-expanding and refilling with fluid overnight. But they do not restrict circulation. Here's what you must check. Put them on immediately after the botanical leg rub. Ensure the top elastic band does not create a deep indentation. If it does, roll the band down one fold or switch to a looser pair. Compression must be graduated, meaning pressure is tighter at the ankle and looser upward. Never use anything that binds tightly at the top. When done correctly, nighttime compression protects hours of work. When done wrong, it destroys it. But even after all this, there is one silent habit that sabotages your circulation more than anything else, and chances are, you do it every night without even thinking. Before we fix that, let's address step 6, a step that seems simple but has dramatic impact on next morning swelling. Step 6, the 3-hour fluid fast. Stop the night flooding your kidneys filter fluid. They regulate water. They manage sodium balance. But they do something even more important. They require time and posture to do their job. If you drink a glass of water close to bedtime, whether it's water, herbal tea, a nighttime drink, anything, your kidneys cannot efficiently handle it. And because you're going to be lying flat soon, gravity will no longer pull fluid downward for elimination. So what happens? The fluid settles in your legs, and you wake up with swelling, even if you followed every other step. So here's the rule. Stop all fluids 3 hours before bedtime. If you sleep at 10 p.m., no more drinks after 7 p.m. The only exception is the small sip needed to swallow your step 7 supplements. Why is this so important? Because in those 3 hours, your kidneys perform a final regulatory pass. They filter sodium, manage water levels, and eliminate excess fluid while you are still upright. When you lie down, gravity stops helping the venous return pump. But if your kidneys already processed the excess fluid, your legs stay lean. This is one of the most overlooked, most effective habits you can adopt. Now, the final step. The step that repairs your vessels from the inside. The step that turns nightly management into long-term healing. Step 7. Internal vascular repair. The 2-part clinical botanical combination. Everything until now. The flush, the shock, the pump, the rub, the compression, the fluid fast has been about moving fluid, draining fluid, and preventing fluid buildup. But none of that will fix the root problem if your capillary walls are still weak and leaky. So for long-term relief, you need internal repair. The 2 most clinically supported natural agents for this are 1. Horse chestnut seed extract, HCSE. Take 300 mg, standardized, to 50 million of ASN. ASN seals capillary walls, reduces permeability, improves venous tone, and reduces leakage. It strengthens the very structure your blood depends on. 2. Pycnogenol, pine bark extract. Take 100 mg. Pycnogenol is an antioxidant powerhouse. It supports microcirculation, reduces inflammation, and strengthens the collagen matrix surrounding your vessels. It works synergistically with HCSE. The combination is far more effective than either supplement alone. Take both supplements right before bed. Not earlier, not later. Right before you lie down. Why? Because during deep sleep, your body enters repair mode. Tissue regeneration increases. Collagen rebuilding accelerates. Inflammation decreases. This is when your vascular system is most receptive to repair. Now that you understand how the internal flush, thermal shock, gravitational pump, botanical strengthening, gentle compression, and nighttime fluid restriction all work together, we arrive at one of the most overlooked but absolutely essential elements of restoring healthy leg circulation: your body posture, especially during rest. And this is where most people unknowingly sabotage all of their progress. You can perform every single step perfectly. You can flush your electrolytes, shock your veins, elevate your legs, massage your calves, wear the correct compression, stop fluids on time. But if you do this one single thing while sitting or lying down, you instantly undo hours of therapeutic benefit. What is that habit? Crossing your legs. It sounds simple, it sounds harmless, it sounds like something everyone does. But crossing your legs, whether at the ankles, mid-shin, or knee, creates a mechanical kink in your major blood vessels. The femoral artery and femoral vein run through your inner thigh. These are the primary pipelines that return blood from your legs back up to your heart. When you cross your legs, even lightly, you compress these vessels. You create a bend, a pinch, a blockage, like stepping on a garden hose while water is running through it. The result? Blood slows, fluid stagnates, pressure builds, and swelling returns. In fact, studies show that even 10 minutes of leg crossing significantly decreases venous return. And for someone already suffering from venous insufficiency, that decrease is enough to trigger hours of swelling afterward. So here's what you must do. When you sit, keep your feet flat on the floor, parallel, hip-width apart. When you recline, keep your legs straight and uncrossed. When you lie on your side, use a thick pillow between your knees so the top leg does not slide forward and cross over into a blocking position. This might feel strange at first, it might feel unnatural, because your body is used to compensating for weak veins by shifting into postures that feel comfortable in the moment, even though they make things worse long-term. But once you commit to this small change, your circulation opens dramatically. Think of everything we've done up to this point. We've flushed the cells, activated the vessels, pumped the fluid, strengthened the capillaries, supported the structure, and controlled fluid intake. Now it's time to maintain the pathway. You've cleaned the pipes. Now keep the water flowing. And this sets the stage for a deeper understanding of why swelling happens at night in the first place, and why the nighttime protocol is so effective. Let's go deeper into the physiology, because the better you understand it, the more committed you'll be to this process. Why gravity matters more than you realize. Throughout the day, gravity is pulling fluid downward. This means your veins must constantly work to push blood upward against that force. When your veins are weak, tired, stretched, or damaged, they lose this upward push. The valves inside them begin to malfunction. They no longer snap shut to stop backflow. Blood begins to fall backward, pooling in the ankles. This is why your swelling worsens at night. Not because you're doing something wrong at bedtime, but because gravity has been compressing your system all day. Think about this. During a 16-hour day, your veins fight gravity for 600 seconds straight. It's no wonder they start failing. That's why nighttime is the best time to correct the issue. You're horizontal. Gravity no longer pulls the blood down. Your veins can rest. The pressure on your valves decreases. Your fluid no longer sinks downward. And that's why the steps you perform before bed, the ones you're learning here, influence what happens the moment your head touches the pillow. Once gravity is neutralized, every correction becomes amplified. But that also means every mistake becomes amplified, especially mistakes like drinking fluid late, or sleeping with strong compression stockings, or bending your vessels by crossing your legs. The 7-step protocol uses this gravitational shift strategically to your advantage, so your veins can actually recover instead of collapsing further. Understanding fluid dynamics inside your legs. Let's break down what happens when swelling occurs. Inside your legs, you have two primary systems working together. The venous system. This carries blood back toward your heart. When the valves weaken, blood pools. The lymphatic system. This collects excess fluid that leaks into the tissues and returns it to circulation. When swelling becomes chronic, both systems are overwhelmed. The veins fail first. Pressure builds. Fluid leaks into your tissues. Then your lymphatic system tries to handle it. But lymphatic flow is naturally slow. It depends almost entirely on muscle contraction, movement, and rhythmic internal pressure changes. When too much fluid leaks out, the lymphatic system becomes overloaded. Nothing moves. Everything stagnates. Swelling becomes constant. That's why this protocol works so well, because it targets both systems simultaneously. Magnesium and potassium rebalance cellular fluid first. Contrast bath activates venous contraction. Leg up pump activates lymphatic flow. Botanical oils strengthen capillaries so less fluid leaks. Compression prevents tissue expansion. Fluid fast reduces workload. Internal botanicals repair and reinforce weak veins. Every step supports another. Your body gets a full 360-degree vascular reset. But the body is not a machine. It's a living system. And once you begin resetting it at night, you'll notice improvements that go beyond just reduced swelling. What you may notice after a few nights. Most people report their ankles look visibly slimmer. The deep sock marks stop appearing. Morning stiffness disappears. Their feet feel less heavy when they walk. Their calves feel warmer, a sign of better circulation. Tingling sensations decrease. Capillaries look less inflamed. That nighttime throbbing or pulsing sensation fades. Their shoes fit more easily in the morning. They feel lighter on their feet. They stop waking up with tight, inflexible ankles. These changes happen because your lower legs are finally getting oxygenated, nutrient-rich blood instead of stagnant fluid. But here's something even more remarkable. Once the circulatory bottleneck in your legs improves, your entire cardiovascular system performs better. Your heart pumps more efficiently. Your kidneys regulate fluid more effectively. Your lymphatic system drains waste faster. It all begins by restoring flow to the area where gravity tends to trap fluid the most. Now let's address the part most people misunderstand, something your doctor probably never explained in this level of detail. Why standard advice often fails. You've probably heard common recommendations. Just lower your salt intake. Just elevate your legs. Just wear compression socks. Just drink more water. Just walk more. These suggestions aren't wrong. They're just incomplete. Salt intake alone doesn't fix electrolyte imbalance. Without potassium and magnesium, the body clings to sodium no matter how much you reduce it. Elevating legs without muscular engagement does almost nothing. Gravity helps but does not pump fluid. Compression socks are useful, but only when used correctly. Wrong pressure at the wrong time worsens swelling. Walking helps circulation, but only during the day. It doesn't prevent nighttime accumulation. Drinking more water helps cellular hydration, but destroys venous return when done too late. In other words, traditional advice treats one piece of the puzzle, not the entire mechanism. Your legs don't swell from one cause. They swell from a combination of disrupted systems. And swollen legs are not normal aging. They are a sign of compromised vascular performance, one that you're now learning to target effectively. Now that you understand all these physical principles, let's connect them back to the exact protocol. The big picture. Why the 7-step system works. Each step addresses a different layer of the problem. Electrolyte flush fixes fluid inside the cell. Thermal shock jumpstarts venous pumping. Gravity pump with flexing moves fluid upward. Botanical rub strengthens vessels. Light compression maintains progress. Fluid fast prevents nighttime pooling. Internal botanicals repairs vessels long term. You're not just draining fluid, you're retraining your vascular system. Think of your veins as elastic tubes. Healthy veins spring back. Weakened veins sag and stretch. This protocol restores that spring. But let's deepen your understanding even further so you can maximize your results. What happens to your legs? While you sleep. When you finally lie down, something important happens. Your hydrostatic pressure changes. During the day, the pressure in your leg veins can be up to 10 times higher than when you are lying flat. This pressure forces fluid out of your veins into surrounding tissues. But when you lie down, that pressure disappears. This is why morning swelling is often lower. Your veins are under less stress. However, If your vessels are weak, even the reduced pressure isn't enough. They continue leaking. That's why simply lying down doesn't fix swelling. The nighttime protocol ensures your veins are flushed, activated, strengthened, compressed, nourished, and protected before they enter the low-pressure nighttime state. This makes night the perfect time for vascular healing, but only when you prepare the body properly first. By now, you understand that leg swelling doesn't come from one cause. It comes from a chain reaction. And unless you break the entire chain, not just one link, the swelling keeps coming back night after night. That's why this 7-step nighttime vascular protocol is so powerful. It addresses the system, not the symptom. We've already talked about the internal flush, the thermal activation, the muscle-driven pump, the botanical reinforcement, the gentle compression, the hydration timing, and the internal vascular repair. We've talked about posture, gravity, vein valves, lymphatic flow, capillary strength, and why nighttime is the prime window for circulatory healing. Now let's go deeper so you understand why consistency matters more than anything else. The vascular system learns through repetition. Your veins are like small muscular tubes. They contain valves, tiny flaps, that open and close to prevent blood from flowing backward. When those valves weaken, blood falls downward and pools in the ankles. But here's the key. Valves are influenced by pressure. The more pressure and pooling they experience, the weaker they become. Nighttime is the reset window. Every night you have a chance to retrain these valves. Every night you have a chance to reduce the pressure they're under. Every night you have a chance to restore tone and elasticity. Think of it like training a muscle. One workout won't change anything, but repeated consistent activation creates change. Your vascular system works the same way. When you do the 7 steps for one night, you experience relief. When you do it for several nights, you experience transformation. When you do it consistently, your system begins operating in a new baseline, a healthier baseline. And that's what long-term vascular recovery requires. Why many people never fully recover. Millions of people deal with chronic swelling without understanding the real cause. They treat it like a water problem instead of a pressure and vascular integrity problem. They drink less water, then more water, then less salt, then more salt, switching back and forth because nothing seems to work. They elevate their legs for 5 minutes and wonder why nothing changes. The truth is simple. They're treating the visible symptom, not the hidden mechanism. Leg swelling is just the final step in a long chain of events. If you break the chain at the bottom, the top doesn't change. But if you break the chain at the root, the entire system improves. Once you understand this, you regain control over your body again. Now let's connect this back to step 7, the most important step of all, internal vascular reinforcement. Understanding the internal repair mechanism. Horse chestnut seed extract, HCSE, and pycnogenol are not magic. They are not quick fixes. They are structural repair agents. HCSE, ASIN, seals leaky capillary walls, reduces excessive permeability, improves venous tone, decreases inflammatory leakage. ASIN works by tightening the junctions between endothelial cells, the cells that form the inner lining of your blood vessels. When these junctions are loose, fluid escapes. When they tighten, fluid stays where it belongs. Pycnogenol strengthens the collagen matrix around your vessels, reduces oxidative stress, improves microcirculation, enhances the effects of HCSE. Together, they do something neither can do alone. They rebuild the integrity of your vascular walls. This is the opposite of symptom management. This is repair. And when repair begins, something incredible happens. The leakage slows, the swelling reduces, the fluid stops accumulating. Your legs begin returning to normal function. This is why step 7 is not optional. This is why you were told not to skip it, because it addresses the root cause at the microscopic level. Now let's revisit posture, because posture throughout the night determines whether your nighttime healing accelerates or reverses. Why leg crossing is so damaging. You might think leg crossing is harmless, something everyone does. But when you cross your legs, especially at the thigh or knee, you compress